Scott, what's going on? Good to see you.
Hey, dude, what's happening?
Good to see you. Long time no see. Mary, thanks for joining us. All right, we'll get started here. Just trying to get this replay in YouTube going here, and it's going to load up and start blasting in my ear. Be adding people as we go along. This is our Thursday roundtable discussion, so thanks for joining us over here at Elify. Our goal ultimately is we want to have a roundtable discussion, talk about different topics as it relates to technology, business, life by design, etc. And hopefully you get something out of this conversation or have something to contribute that can help others. So with that being said, I want to welcome everybody. It's good to see a familiar face. Scott, it's been a long time. I hope all is well out there. You're just south of me in Colorado, so hopefully everything is good down there. Oops, you're muted.
Yeah, except I'm in New York City.
I was going to say, you got a lot of more buildings in the background.
Yeah, that's not Castle Rock anymore. I mean, there's a ton of buildings in Castle Rock, don't get me wrong.
Have you moved?
Yeah, I'm in Manhattan now.
Congratulations, hopefully are in order. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, one of the topics that I had down for today that I just wanted to have a roundtable discussion, Scott, you'll probably have tons to contribute to this. It's just the concept of content and collateral, right? The information that we give to people that allow them to make informed buying decisions, in my mind, in the world of business. And, I've got another Scott on this call as well. And I know we've talked before about what do I share with who, right? I've got my business, maybe I've got a few side hustles and things like that, but what do I put in front of them that makes them buy from me, right? And everybody's looking for that one catch-all, easy, I'm going to send out one page or one button, and everybody's just going to buy from me. And in my experience, that's never been the case. It's always about sending the right information to the right person at the right time and really carving out content and collateral that's specifically focused on a certain target audience. So I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts to that or comments to add on that, but I'm welcome to the conversation.
So last night I was able to pivot around and have a very successful mixer and be able to take pictures of people's cards and give them back their card. And they were all very impressed by what I was showing them.
Yeah.
So it was all about just being able to pivot when I needed to.
Well, and I think the key to that, Shelley, is the impression that you make with people when you provide them with information or an experience, right? In a way, your content and your collateral is that experience. It's what they're going to see and how they're going to familiarize themselves with you, your brand, your product, your service. And so you really want to be thinking about and going in prepared with that plan of this is what I'm going to provide because this is the audience that's going to be there. And that's really what I think about is, what am I building this piece of content for? And what is the audience that's going to be interacting with it? And in fact, this topic sort of stemmed out from a bunch of things that we've been doing over here at Elify this week. And one of those things was actually content for the programming of the NFC tap card stuff. So you can see my markup starting in the background there. That's typically where I start. I know what my audience is going to be. It's people who have received one of these, who are scanning the back of the QR to set their card up for the first time. What do they need to know, right? So they need to know what it is. They need to know how to get more. Maybe they're promoting it to somebody else. They need to know quick video information of actually how to do the step-by-step to set it up. If you scanned your tap card before, there's more of a sequential step-by-step setup. We want to move that into a video because we believe a video format's going to be a lot better than this endless scrolling step-by-step. So again, we start transitioning it. We want to add informational links for how to get the step-by-step instructions if they are one of those viewers who needs that information. And then we want to add information that may be a secondary or tertiary, like how do you connect with us, our email stuff, our social media accounts. So typically when I'm laying stuff out, I'm thinking, first and foremost, who is this going to be in front of? you know? And then 2, what do I want that person to see in that instance, right? We could have done all this other stuff talking about TAP and the technology and all of that, but it's irrelevant for the audience who's going to be interacting with it. The audience who's interacting with this page has already purchased their TAP, and the whole goal is setting it up, right? So the same thing for anything that you're offering, right? Your product, your service, your brand. You want to be thinking about, okay, what is the audience and what information do I want them to see at that time? And then you can segment it out because you've got additional information that may go to the same audience or different information that goes to 2 separate audiences, but you're thinking about that audience first and foremost. Scott, I know you've got something to contribute or some thoughts on that, and I know you've put together a lot of content and collateral in your day. Any thoughts? Yes. Maybe you want to introduce yourself. For anybody who's been on these calls and you haven't seen Scott Webb before, great friend of mine. We go back years and years. An amazing entrepreneur, marketer, just thought leader when it comes to setting yourself apart from the status quo, in my opinion.
Too kind, ER. Thank you. Yeah, the only thing I can contribute that you guys don't already hammer home all the time is become the educator and guide in your market. So instead of becoming the vendor, the supplier, the solution provider, which are all good things because that's why you're in business to begin with, take your clients and your prospects and your market through education and guide them to their outcome. And so we created a guide. Literally, it is everything so what we charge money for, we gave that away. It's every single step. We didn't hold anything back. It's a 28-page cookbook of the exact same process that we work with our clients on, but you can have it for free. And what we found is that the majority, which is 95% of the people, will not do anything you tell them to do. So it doesn't matter. The 5% that value the content, they value being led, educated, and guided, they become your clients. And those are the ones you want anyways. So yeah, and we've built, I don't know, 10, 12 different guides, and we segment them down to the actual audience. So not every guide is for every person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just for instance, our guide generated 890 leads last year. And then just through our content alone, we generated almost 80,000 inquiries, which aren't leads because they're not qualified, but still it's massive. So go out every morning, think, what can I teach my audience? How can I set the record straight and create something around that?
Yeah, I think in a way, Scott, we are all experts at something. Hopefully you are an expert in your field or profession, and you can lean into that. Even when you said be the guide, the first thing that popped into my mind, and this is validated, is what Donald Miller would write about, right? With building your story brand and all of that type of stuff. And just really showing your client that you have a path and can guide them to what they're looking for or to solving that problem, etc. Super duper powerful. Scott, I know you've got some of your guides or something like that. If you want to post any of that, feel free to put it in the chat. If not, you can share your card, and anybody who sees this live or watches this in replays, welcome to reach out and connect with you on this. But I think that's probably one of the most important things, and trying to step back and think about that. Like, how do I best serve my customer? What am I doing? What is that value? And coming back to what Scott was just saying, right? You know, not what your product is or what your service is but how you actually physically provide that value and that help for them, and how you're going to take them all the way. The other thing that you said, Scott, that I love so much, because it's so true. You can show everybody the secret sauce. Like, I feel like I meet people all the time who are like, I can't show you this unless you sign some NDA and all of this other stuff. And the reality is, to Scott's point, 95% of people aren't going to take action, even if they know all of the answers. You can paint it out like, hey guys, here's your path to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And I've gone down this path 50 times. And here it is, step by step, to Scott's point. And they're going to look at that and they'll probably even agree with you. Yep, this path works and that's where the pot of gold is. And they still will not take the first step. So I'm never really worried about not sharing information, because the reality is, to Scott's point, if you find value in what's being shared with you, you're going to lean into that stuff and you'll actually take action on some of that stuff. And for the other ones, they're just the inactive people who are part of the statistic, if you will, the numbers. So. Oh, good. Yep. So if you guys go into the chat, you can see, and if you're listening to this or watching a replay and don't have the chat, that's appleorchard.io. And that links to Scott's site. So Scott's based out of Manhattan now, not in Colorado anymore, but he was just south of me not too long ago. So shifting around. Anybody else with questions or thoughts on the concept of content and collateral? Okay. Everybody has their, yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I'd like to throw in one thing. A lot of people freak out because they're like, what do I talk about? And, you know, I don't have anything to contribute. Creating content is so hard. And this is how I create content. What were the last 4 conversations I had last week?
Yeah, right.
You know, somebody emailed me a question. Somebody started a conversation. Somebody brought up a point. Somebody came up with an objection.
Yeah.
You know, and that was it. There's 4 talking points, and now I can create. You know, it doesn't have to be. You know, I think people think content has to be like an ebook or, you know, jump on and do an hour YouTube video. It could literally be 30 seconds. Hey guys, this is the question I got from a prospect. You know, how do I create content? Okay, create 4. You know. Record the last 4 conversations you had, and what were your responses to that content.
Yeah.
Post that out. People are like, oh my God, that was brilliant. No, it's not. It's just answering people's questions in a proactive manner, and then you post that on the internet.
And Scott, I think as well, if we went through those last 4 conversations and then we took a step back and we looked at the typical redundant conversations that we have all of the time. And I think that's a big one, right? Your customers, if you've been in your business for any amount of time, you have reoccurring themes that tend to come up about you, about your products, about your services. Maybe it's safety and efficacy. Maybe it's how to use it. Maybe it's all of these things. And Scott, to your point, setting yourself up as the guide or the professional, the educator in a way of answering those questions, because most likely you've done it so many times before. In fact, the content and the collateral can actually become the time saver. You know, I hear often from people who create something that saves them the time of the redundancy of getting on that phone call and answering the same question every time. And it may be not content that supports the sale. Maybe it's the post-enrollment support. You know, I've got a new customer and lo and behold, every time I get a new customer, I'm having these 5, Q&A questions that just keep coming up. What I need to do is I need to create some content that addresses that immediately so that the time I acquire the customer, again, I'm hitting them with that content to save them the trouble. You know, there's a good chance that you may have these questions. I know we get these questions from other customers. Proactively, I wanted to provide you with this, quick little list of answers to those common questions. Oh, wow, shoot, Shelly's on top of it. She already sent me over stuff that, heck, I was just about to ask her about, and I think that becomes very powerful as well. And I know on previous calls, we talked about sort of that whole life cycle, everything from lead generation to the selling process or the marketing process to where they make the informed decision. And then the post-enrollment side of what happens after they become your customer. So you retain them, generate referrals, and all of that type of stuff. And I think the content and the collateral, when we step back, can support all phases of that process. And you don't want to lose sight of that. I think a lot of people only focus on either the sales phase or the lead generation phase, and then it starts performing for them, but then they find these other gaps that are going unsupported, and then stuff starts leaking through the cracks, or they start having retention issues or fall off, things like that. So one thing that I'm hoping for everybody who's seeing this is that you've taken an opportunity for yourself to review your content and what your method of operation is on how you're delivering that content to your audience, and saying, do I have all of the content and collateral elements that I need to support what I'm doing? I think that's the first baseline question. And if your answer is no, then you've got some homework to do, right? You need to lay out and start mapping out that content piece. Again, you know, the content up here for helping somebody get started after they purchase the NFC technology is a lot different than the content we present to somebody before they make that purchase. What is it? How does it work? How will it help me? What problem does it solve? All of that stuff is irrelevant to the person who's holding it in their hand, but completely relevant to the person who's never heard of it before. So we want to be thinking about all of those areas. And it's not, the intention is not to be a catch-all either. I think that's a common trap, right? I want to put all of my content in one place where everybody can parse through it. But the reality is there's so much noise that it's easier to parse those things into consumable chunks of content, similar to what Scott was alluding to with just a quick post about a common topic. It doesn't need to be a full, exhaustive, thesis that you put together, writing everything up on everything. In most cases, that will have the opposite impact in a way. Okay, well, any other thoughts, questions, other topics we want to cover? We're about 20 minutes in, and we can either cut this short or we can keep on going, guys. It's up to you. This is your time.
You said that we can send a response or an email to Elify, and they can take our tap card and change it to our own personal code.
Correct.
For that scan code. Sweet. I'm going to send them an email today.
Yeah, support at Elify. If you received your tap card when we first launched this in Q4 of last year, you'll know you've got a serial number on the bottom of the tap card. Just make sure, Shelly, that in that email to our support, you include that serial number. That's the unique identifier that'll get assigned to your account. And then once we assign it to your account, the link on the back will be able to be redirected to your link. So that way you get qualified for everybody who you're sharing your tap with. And again, I would say this, and we were just talking about this on an earlier call. If you are working or promoting offline, in person, this is probably the easiest way to share information with somebody else, right? It's a tap and one click. So I think that's very powerful, especially when we're talking about the experience. But likewise, when you're marketing online, tap or NFC is not going to be as relevant for you if you do all of your promotion, all of your meeting, and all of your interactions through the internet, through online, So consider that. You can use the same content and collateral on both elements. I'm a big proponent of, it's high tech meets high touch. So you want to do stuff online, but you also want to do stuff offline. And I think in this day and age, we've seen so many people move just to online, and rightfully so. I mean, it is a massively booming thing. We've talked about something like $6 trillion in commerce happening online as we move into 2022 through 2024. And if you're not online or don't have a digital presence online, you're missing out on all of that. But the converse is as well true. If you're only focusing online, I know a lot of people, it's like all of my clients and all of my customers come through social. Awesome. But if you're looking for more, you need to expand where your lead generation is happening. Have you checked the real world, right? In real life, there's a lot of other stuff going on. I know when things shut down in 2020, 2021, you had a lot of offline stuff that was just not happening, right? No business networking events, no meetings, no meetups, no any of that type of stuff. But the post-pandemic world is going to be the new normal. We're going to have some aspect of both of those things. So you just want to prepare yourself for both. And with that being said, you don't have to feel like the content has to be the same. You can be using content that's geared more for your online viewer, and then content that's geared more towards those people you're going to be meeting in real life situations. So yeah, Shelly, send that email. We'll get that updated for you. No problem. Any other questions out there or thoughts?
Thanks, CR.
Yeah, no problem.
Just quickly, I sent a link to a piece that we built because we got like 10 responses for a survey. I don't know how to build content, so we made a how to build content. And so they can have it just by clicking on the link.
Yep.
And it's called the one idea. So you just take one idea and you just talk about it all month, and you
Thanks,
lead
Scott.
people to an end result, a webinar, some kind of contact, a meetup, anything. You
Yep.
know, just have a crossroads at the end of the month, but then talk about just one idea all day, every day for a month. You don't have to talk about anything else. So now you can just really get into the nuances of solving that pain point.
Yep. And in fact, Scott Corso, I know you and I were on a call the other day, and we were talking about your practice, what your profession is, right? And all the different services or qualifications that you might have. To Scott Webb's point, just picking one of those and creating even like a video landing page that discusses that and why that is valuable and why that helps and all of the impact of that can be very powerful, and whether it's a write-up or a video or some combination of both, depending on, again, the use of that content, there's a lot of value based on how you lay it out from the standpoint of, if I'm going to get something that I want to have posted or listed, I may want to have more text in there that gets spidered and brought up or posted in certain locations. If it's something that I know my potential customer base will be getting in front of, maybe just a video of me and why they should come and set an appointment with me or talk with me or explore my services, again, can be one element. So I would check out that one idea content PDF that Scott posted in the chat as well. And again, Scott's site is appleorchard.io for anybody joining or watching or catching us right now. Great stuff on here, Scott. I really appreciate you sharing this.
For the platform, ER.
Yep. I'm a big fan of the topic type of thing. Think about the topics that your field, your business is focused on. You know what I mean? When I think about us, I'm thinking about technology, right? How is technology impacting business, right? Business is a big one, or entrepreneurship or small business or any subset of business. And then I'm thinking about life by design on the other end, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're all doing our businesses, our brands, our ventures to generate a revenue stream that supports whatever we are trying to work towards. Those are the three content categories for me that I like to think about and create content for or get on and talk through. Sometimes it might just help you to discover your content by sitting there with your note app opened up, just talking about the content or talking about the subject matter that you believe you're an expert at, and then reviewing that and pulling out the good elements or the gold out of that, and then creating collateral based around that. All right.
This is Anna.
Hey, Anna, good to see you.
I don't have much of a voice, but I'm going to speak up here. You just turned a light on for me. I've been in our business for 16 years, and I get the same questions over and over again. And I could do very brief, Facebook Lives or whatever about, why would you call an attorney?
Yep.
What would you say? How do you maximize the service?
Yep.
What's covered and what does that mean?
Yep.
And don't wait.
Right.
Even silly questions.
But these are all the things, Anna. This is what's so funny, because when I think about the topic of business, it's very similar to your topic of attorney from this standpoint. If you've never consumed it or needed it, you're in the dark on how it works. And
Exactly.
To Scott's point, you are the subject matter expert who's going to be the guide to help them. And when they know that they have help and somebody who's going to hold their hand along the way from the standpoint of the service provider, the product provider, etc., you can really lean into that with the content that you're creating. You know, when I think about business, I don't know if you and I had this conversation, but I've had this conversation so many times when it comes to starting a business, right? You got to go to your Secretary of State. You got to go register your LLC. You got to go get your EIN. You got to go do all of these things. And if you've done it before, it's maybe 10 minutes worth of work online. But if you've never done it before, it is a monumental lift. It's overwhelming. All of those types of
Well, you don't want to make any mistakes.
Well, you don't. You're
You know,
right.
you have all these things that you've got to do.
You don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that you have somebody that you can learn from or look to who's gone down that path before, somebody with experience. That's the guide that Scott's talking about, right? So Anna's the guide for her area of expertise, and coming in and talking about those little snippets like the why do you need an attorney and why should you be proactive of having one lined up even if you don't need one right now, you know, are all big questions that somebody maybe never even thought about.
Especially in the current market where we have so many people going to home-based business, you know, building their own new businesses and stuff. You know, we have this very simple supplement plan called Home-Based Business Supplement for $10 or $15 a month.
Yeah.
And you can pick up the phone and call an attorney and ask any question about your business and get a legal answer.
I mean,
Why
what
wouldn't you?
a powerful solution. And again, if people don't even know that type of stuff exists, the guide needs to come forward and say, hey, this exists, and this is why this is important, and this is why I'm qualified to tell you about it. You know what I mean? I've been in this space for this long, and this is the value of this, and this is what you have to be aware of. And if you're interested in letting me help you and show you that path, all you need to do is reach out to me, hit this button, fill out this form, whatever your sort of calls to action that you're surrounding that content with. And I think that's part of it, right? Some
I've been
content
trying
is
to figure out how it's going to tap into that market, and you just gave it to me. I'm so glad I'm here.
Well, I think this is ultimately the goal of all of these types of calls that we do throughout the week. Is if it just spurs one idea of how you can leverage the technology a little bit more, do something you're doing a little bit more efficiently, all of that is going to help lead you to where you want to go. More success, more advancement, more prospects, more revenue, etc. Ultimately, that's the goal for everybody within the Elify community. You know, whether it's through the affiliate program, whether it's through your primary venture, other businesses that you're running. Ultimately, when I talk about technology, business, and life by design, that's what we're leaning into. I think everybody should have some type of venture or something that they're focused on, and they should have a path to follow to be successful at that. And I think you get that by joining a community of like-minded people who are going to roundtable this stuff around and help each other. You know, it's an abundance mentality where if we all pour into each other, you know, Scott didn't need to come on this call today. And in my opinion, he is probably one of the top in the game when it comes to content and collateral, because he's offered that as a service for so long from the standpoint of helping people tap into that type of stuff so that they can tap in to their community of existing customers and all of that stuff, really leverage and maximize that. Anybody else on anything related to content, collateral, or any other topic you guys want to go through today? Everybody has everything they need. Nobody has any questions. Guys, now's your chance. We are not going to have another call till tomorrow's Friday with the founders. So this is your chance to plug in and get support or offer help to others.
Yes, I have a quick question.
Yes, Scott, go ahead.
First of all, I want to say thanks, Scott, and thanks, Yara. I appreciate the. I know I've been needing to do content for a while, and so this is a good kick in the pants to get me going. And but my question is around the $1 trial. Did I hear that that's going away, or did I misunderstand on a previous call?
No, it will be going away in the long term. It still exists and continues to exist, but ultimately what we'll be doing as we lean into our version 3 will be free or some module within the Shuffle ecosystem. And right now that dollar will exist because the full ecosystem and free are the only offerings available right now. So you're either getting free or the full kit and caboodle. And one of those things that we want people to be in a position to do is try the full thing to see if they like it without having to spend all the money. So we offer the dollar trial. But if you are promoting with the dollar trial, be aware that you want to let them know that it is a trial. And after the trial ends, they will be going into that free or that full version if they don't cancel their account. And that's one of the factors on why most likely we will be eliminating it in the future. We will let everybody know that we're eliminating it, but we do get a lot of customer support where people signed up for the trial and they don't realize that it's going to load into something that's the full suite of services. So from our standpoint, it's better to just give them the free offering. That way, if they like that, they can start escalating into the other sort of a la carte features that they may need to add in.
Okay.
But in the meantime, it's available. You can use it, all of that type of stuff. But with that being said, I know, Scott, when we were talking, we were really talking about two facets, right? The affiliate side of the business and the content to promote that, and then our primary business and you being able to promote it for what you currently do, for your brand, you know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that hopefully you get out of today with the content side is you've been doing what you've been doing for how long? You know what I mean? And you have created some area of expertise surrounding what you do. I remember the card you shared over to me had all of those certifications listed underneath you under your title, including some of the services that you make available. You could pick any one of those things and just provide content about that. Why is that important? Why does that qualify you? Why is it beneficial to your clients? You know, and all of that's going to give them a path to lean in on that says, wow, Scott is my guide. If I'm going to reach out to somebody, it's got to be Scott. And then they're calling you, you know, or filling out a form, etc. So I would definitely take an opportunity to have that. You know, I don't know if Scott Webb has his card available, but he could probably share that on the screen if he does have his shuffle available. If not, Darlene, you could see the appleorchard.io. I'm just reading through the chats here, guys. It is the site to go to. Any other questions, everybody? We got time available if we want to spend it together.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
This is Dana.
Hey, Danon, how's it going?
I'm all right. I got on a little late, and I'm actually at work. But if y'all can reiterate, like what, because I'm actually having a problem with the content side too. So if Scott can go over what he mentioned a little while ago, then I would appreciate it.
Yeah. First of all, Danon, I will say this is live on YouTube, so there will be a replay available. I would take some time to go through that and catch up on everything. If you do want to connect with Scott Webb here, I'm going to put it on speaker view. I know he had his phone up and he can share that again. I'll let him talk for a second to come through if he wants to reiterate. But Danon, I would go back through. Also, if you're writing this down or if you're watching this and you can't see the chat, appleorchard.io is Scott's site. He did also post out a PDF for the One Idea content side of things for giving you ideas to create your own content. Scott, go ahead. If you want to hold up your phone and talk, it'll bring you forward on the line.
I just didn't know if this was going to be recorded, but okay.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, just to reiterate, the content will put you ahead of all of your competitors because you are the one that is stepping forward and willing to guide your marketplace, your prospects, your clients. It also makes you highly referable because instead of a client that you're working with having to try and remember what it is you exactly do, they can just share a piece of your content. But if you don't have content, then you have to really focus on educating your clients. And that puts them in a kind of a position of feeling like they have to sell you when they don't even, I mean, listen, my dad thinks I'm in computers simply because I use a computer all day. That is not what I do. I'm in sales and marketing. And but he's like, oh yeah, my son, I don't know, he does something with computers. So I'll literally get a phone call or a text. Hey, so my router's not working and your dad referred me to you. Sure, can I help you fix your router? Maybe, but that's not what I do. But if you go to my website, it tells you exactly what I do. It breaks it down. It's shareable. I solve people's problems, whether they ever hire me or not. And when you become that person, guess what happens? People hire you.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's logical when you think about it, Scott. Maybe it's not intuitive for most people. And guys, it's a simple thing. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science from the standpoint of when you step back and you start thinking about it, yet not everybody does it. So that can give you the competitive advantage. So Scott, I saw your hand go up. Go ahead. Unmute yourself if you got a question there.
Sure. When we had our conversation the other day, one of the things you had mentioned as a suggestion was to put a video at the top of my Connect card. And you had some great ideas around what to do. And I'm just curious if maybe Scott could chime in on suggestions on that video that sort of tells your story, how long to make it, and maybe what elements to include in it, if you wouldn't mind.
So great question. Number one, I preach and teach video as just, it's the difference maker. So like if you go to our website, we have just redid all the videos. They're not up yet. So I'm going to sound like a hypocrite right now, but by Monday, we have all the new video content up. So when you actually download any of our content, it takes you to a thank you page. And that thank you page literally is a video of me or one of my team walking you through how to. And so, oh, can you hear me still?
Yes, we've got you, Scott. Go ahead.
Okay, I just lost everybody. Hang on.
Yeah, I think it shifted over to your computer mic from your.
Anyway, so yes, video content doesn't matter how long. Just are you doing something to teach and guide your visitor, your traffic, your client, your prospect to an answer, to an outcome, and that could be as simple as just thanking them for taking the time to come and visit you and then giving a call to action. Hey, would you like to book something? Would you like to download my free checklist? Just go to this webpage, or even something as simple as, here's my Calendly link is right below the video. Let's book a call. So always make sure, listen, call to action, call to action, call to action. You can't just put content out there. You've got to lead people to the next step.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point, Scott. And going back on the video side of things, look, if a word is worth a word and a picture is worth a 1,000 words, your videos are going to be worth 1,000,000 words. So why I like putting videos within my content is there's so much noise out there. People only have like the goldfish attention span, if you will. And when they see your information, they're not reading your text verbatim, word for word, unless they're really leaning in. So whatever you can do visually to start engaging with that person and getting your information across is, in my mind, uber valuable. So when laying out your pages and thinking about that, think about that. Like, what are my titles and what is that expressing to people? What are my secondary titles or my text sections? What visuals am I using? What videos am I using? And again, how do all of those things work together ultimately for that target audience that I'm giving this to and the situation that they're in? And then last but most importantly, what is that next call to action? Again, we want to keep them consuming it. I remember in early 2000, I was reading a trade magazine and it was like big, bold letters, right? Content is king. It's all about just getting and creating content and getting it out there. And I mean, I even think about most of the creators that I sort of research, and it's all about, man, they are just content fiends. They're just producing content. And they know not all of this content is going to be a home run, but as long as I'm putting it out there and then I'm measuring it, I'm going to see what content performs, and then I'm going to repost that content where those eyeballs are, and that will start to generate more traffic to me. And then ultimately what that will lead to is some of those people are going to reshare that. To Scott's point, hey, you know, now you're referable. You've got little snippets of evergreen stuff out there where somebody's like, oh, you should see this article that Anna wrote or that Scott wrote. Here, let me send it to you. And then lo and behold, there's a call to action that sort of brings them back into your fold so that you can start that relationship. Just going to scan through the chat here. If you do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself and go on ahead and ask. We've got about 15 minutes left for our time here. Definitely want to talk about anything content or collateral, how you would leverage that. You know, some other things that come to my mind. Think about, again, the situation, mobile versus web, offline versus online. But ultimately that you are the expert, you are the guide, and you are bringing something to somebody so that they can learn, get a little bit of education, raise your credibility, and then make an informed decision to take an action. And then what is that action going to be? And where is it in the life cycle of that relationship? Anybody, anything to add or any last questions here? Scott, I know I'm going to probably have you come back up and say something. And if you can hold your QR code up again for anybody who wants to connect with Scott here. The biggest thing that I love about the Elify network, the Elify community here, is the ability for us to all network with each other. So Scott, go ahead and talk so it brings you up forward on the screen.
Yeah, and I think you can search for me in the Elify contacts as well. So just type in Scott Webb. Also, too, if you go to my LinkedIn is, I mean, that's basically my hub. So LinkedIn, and just look for Scott and Webb. Also, the Refluencer. So that's a nickname that I've been given by my clients and my audience. So I'm not an influencer, but I work very hard to build relationships and be a resource. So they called me the Refluencer, and somebody said I'm the Justin Bieber of LinkedIn, whatever that means. So goal is become the Justin Bieber of your marketplace, even if you can't sing.
That's right. I love it. And again, if you scan that, guys, while you're watching this live, it pulls up Scott's shuffle card. All the links and information are on there, going back to that appleorchard.io. Scott did post in and very graciously share information to everybody on the content PDF. And hopefully you guys learned something on here today that's going to best help you. I know, Anna, sounds like you learned something that you're going to apply immediately. The key here is apply immediately, guys. Ultimately, we're going to be learning and pouring into each other on each one of these calls. The goal here is that you find one gold nugget or actionable item that you can take and implement. And the key to all of this is implementation. If you don't implement it, you're not going to get the results, right? You can love the idea of something all day long. And trust me, you can love the idea of creating amazing content and collateral to get in front of your audience. But if you don't take a step back and put that into action, actually start creating that, open up your shuffle, create another card, create that video, throw it onto your YouTube for free and load that into a card, build out your text, and then just start getting it out there. Then you can start revising it. Again, done is better than perfect, as I always like to say. Get it out there, get it in front of your audience, see if it serves the value that we've been talking about it creating. And if it needs to be tweaked or adjusted, you go in and you edit it, you update it, and then you get it out there again. But once you have it out there and start using it, you'll start to see the impact that it can have. And ultimately, that's the end goal. So take it for what it is, guys. A good pouring into ourselves and then put it into action for yourself. You will see an impact. And for a lot of us who are thinking, oh, I've got to have the perfect piece of content, or what is that one? I hear this more often than anything else, Scott. And I don't know if you hear this from clients as well. Like, what is that one page? Can we just have one page that just does everything, and then we just send all the eyeballs to that, and they just all buy from us, and the reality is that's not how it works. That's not how people operate when they make an informed decision. They are looking for what they're looking for right in that time in a consumable chunk. And if you're able to position that to them, that's what can get them to pull the trigger or take that action. Okay. Well, guys, if there aren't any more questions, look, I'm not going to take up any more time on this than we need to. This has been our second week Thursday roundtable discussion. We started out last week with getting started. I know a lot of people going into the new year. Guys, we're 2 weeks in on the new year. Okay, a lot of you may be in your business experiencing that, what we called it, the valley of despair as you're working through your resolutions, your goals, your business goals, your activities, and your actions. The key here is continue. Make that commitment, step forward, and continue to do, and you will come out of that valley of despair as your business continues to take off and pass through that sort of linear expectation that we all set. But the reality is right now, 2 weeks into the new year, most people are hitting that roadblock, right? Not every day has been perfect for them. They haven't gotten all the results they've wanted immediately, all of that type of stuff. I don't care what you've set your resolution for or your goal for, continue to stick with it, make that commitment, put it in at least till February, March, April as a commitment, and continue to drive forward. You have to get through this. This is where 95% of people are going to start falling off from all of their goals, whether that's health, finance, career, all of that. We as a community need to help each other so that we can get through that gap or that chasm, right? How many of you have had that, man, I just want to fire myself already, from the beginning of this year? It's okay to feel that way as long as you're willing to rehire yourself the next day and get back at it. So ultimately, that's the goal for everybody. Hopefully you guys have learned something new today. Scott, again, I want to thank you very much for joining us. I think you offered a lot of great content and contribution to this conversation. And everybody, put it into action. We'll see everybody on the next call. It's Friday with the Founders tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Adjust for your time zone. I think we're going to be talking about the topic of time, which I think will be a fun topic for everybody to go through. And if anybody wants or has anything else to add, feel free to add it, and we'll wrap this thing up. Okay. Well, then, everybody, you have a good rest of your Thursday. We will see you on the next one. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Off we go.